We've all heard of IQ and EQ. But there is also a measure of our spiritual capabilities. Here are 12 signs that you have high spiritual intelligence. Spiritual intelligence doesn't necessarily relate to our religious beliefs. It is more concerned with our inner peace, balance, and our understanding of the world. To be spiritually intelligent does not always mean believing in things like angels or the power of crystals. It is more about understanding that there is more to life than materialism and egotistic needs. People with high spiritual capabilities tend to think deeply, be aware of the interconnectedness of all things, are compassionate and empathetic towards others, and also to animals, plants, and Mother Earth. Why we sometimes lose our spiritual intelligence. Spiritual intelligence is something we are all born with. However, our rational worldview often teaches this innate ability out of us. We are taught only to believe what we can see or those things that can be scientifically measured. However, humans have always understood that there is more to this world than meets the eye. Those who are highly spiritually intelligent retain this connection with something deeper. They are less likely to make decisions based only on what their ego suggests. They are connected more deeply to a higher part of themselves. Dana Zohar is a management thought leader, physicist, philosopher and author. She has defined 12 principles underlying spiritual intelligence. These principles offer us clear guidance as to whether we are living from our higher self rather than just our ego. Acting from these principles can help us lead richer, fuller lives and make an impact in our world. Using these principles helps us to create collaborative relationships rather than always being in competition with one another. Zohar's principles of spiritual intelligence are: 1. Self-awareness. Knowing what I believe in and value, and what deeply motivates me. 2. Spontaneity. Living in and being responsive to the moment. 3. Being vision and value-led. Acting from principles and deep beliefs, and living accordingly. 4. Holism. Seeing larger patterns, relationships, and connections, having a sense of belonging. 5. Compassion. Having the quality of feeling with deep empathy. 6. Celebration of diversity. Valuing other people for their differences, not despite them. 7. Field independence. Standing against the crowd and having one's own convictions. 8. Humility. Having the sense of being a player in a larger drama, of one's true place in the world. 9. Tendency to ask fundamental why questions. Needing to understand things and get to the bottom of them. 10. Ability to reframe. Standing back from a situation or problem and seeing the bigger picture or wider context. 11. Positive use of adversity. Learning and growing from mistakes, setbacks, and suffering. 12. Sense of vocation. Feeling called upon to serve, to give something back. These spiritual principles can help us to measure our spiritual intelligence. The more of these principles we are guided by, the higher our spiritual development. But they can also guide our spiritual growth. We can consciously seek to discover our higher values and live from them. We can also cultivate our empathy and compassion for others. Spending time meditating, journaling or undertaking any activity that helps us connect with our higher self can help with this. It is also important to question our own values and make sure we are living in alignment with our higher self. We can foster our spiritual development by being careful what we expose ourselves to. Spending time with competitive, ego-driven people can block our attempts to develop spirituality. Also, focusing too much on material things can disrupt our progress. We should also be careful to question the news we hear and the opinions of others, especially when they are full of negativity or hate. Keeping ourselves distant from these negative influences can really boost our spiritual growth in amazing ways. How to develop our spiritual intelligence. Ultimately, developing our spirituality means moving from ego-driven behaviors to more spiritual behaviors. When we rise above the nagging voice of the ego, we can hear our higher self and be guided by this voice instead. This helps the world by fostering peace, acceptance, and understanding. It also helps our relationships and our own sense of inner peace. We can let go of many stresses of the modern world easily when we see they are all about ego and competition. This leaves us free to accept ourselves and others, rather than being driven by the need to have more and be more. We do not need to destroy the ego. It is essential to help us act in the world. It's just that the ego has become so dominant in current society and the quieter, less drama-focused higher self has lost out. When making any decision, it can help to ask what is in the best interests of ourselves, but also that of our friends, family, colleagues, and neighbors. It is also advisable to check that whatever decisions we make are in the best interests of the planet on which we all rely as well. What behaviors do you believe demonstrate high spiritual intelligence?